Hello, welcome to this lesson in Mastering Statistics. Here we're going to start to use the central limit theorem to explore certain topics. And so for this lesson and the next several lessons, we'll drill down into some problems of increasing complexity. And so by the end of it, I'm hoping, and I really do believe that you'll start to see and understand why the central limit theorem is actually useful. Unfortunately, it took a lot of groundwork to get here. So let's go ahead and do it and show ourselves that. So this is what we call applying the central limit theorem to population means. All right, so we know from previous lessons that when we have a sample size greater than 30, that's the magic number that's been studied. And when we have a sample size greater than 30, what it's basically telling us is the sampling distribution of sample means will always look like a normal distribution. Doesn't matter what the original distribution looks like. If our sample size is greater than 30, we're always going to be in good shape for our sampling distribution to also be normal. So what we're going to end up doing in this section is learning how to use the normal tables in the back of your book to solve practical problems. But don't forget though, that when we solved all of the normal distribution problems before, we used something called the Z-score. Because if you remember, and this is all covered in previous volumes of Mastering Statistics, but if you remember, the normal distribution, they all look about the same as far as the shape, but some can be fatter, some can be skinnier. They have slightly different, means and standard deviations. So in order to be able to solve problems, we have a standard normal distribution that's in the back of your book, and it's in table form, and you can use it to solve problems. But in order to use it, you have to calculate a Z-score that you can then look in the chart and get the answer you're searching for. So all of that kind of background material is covered in the previous volume of Mastering Statistics. I'm assuming that you know how to use a Z-chart table. And if you don't, you need to go back to my previous lessons and really learn that to move on. But anyway, when we use the Z-score from before, if you remember, Z-score was equal to the value I was going to explore minus the mean divided by the standard deviation. So I would plug in the mean of my distribution, the standard deviation of my distribution, the point of interest, and I would get a Z-score. This Z-score is what you look up in the chart. And you can find the probability, which is the area under the curve, right? But we're not actually doing problems of exactly the same type here because we're not looking at individual data points as part of a normal distribution. What we're doing is we're sampling a population, and we get a new distribution called a sampling distribution. All right, and we've learned some of the properties of the sampling distribution. We've already talked about that. And but still, we know that if we choose a sample size greater than 30, we can use the normal chart. So what we do is we replace this guy for the sampling distribution problems with the following Z-score. Instead of